So, good morning, everyone. Welcome to this session. I hope you are all doing well. Yeah. So, let me first tell you about Learning Saturday. It's an event that is being organized every month by Mindbowser, mostly on the last Saturdays of the month, where a team shares their learnings on different topics from different tech stacks. So, the events are posted on LinkedIn, so you can stay tuned for any updates. In today's session, we are going to speak about prompt engineering. So thank you for joining us for the session today. So my name is Hirdesh Kumar, and I'm a full stack developer with over 4 years of experience in Merns Tech. Next, I would like to introduce Sohail Chand. Sohail, can you introduce yourself?
Yes. Hello, everyone. A very good morning to all. Myself, Suhail Chan. I work as a full stack developer here at Mindbowser. I have more than 1.5 years of experience in developing web applications using frameworks like Django and Angular. I look forward to discuss with you some interesting topics on prompting techniques and how we can effectively integrate AI capabilities into our applications. Thank you all for joining, and back to you.
Sohail. So before we get started, let me give you a brief overview of what we will cover today. We will start by understanding basic terminologies like AI, NLP, GPT. Then we will move on to see some use cases and go in depth in prompting and see how to get the best output out of AI. Then we will see some important parameters like temperatures, tokens, and important skills that you need to master prompt engineering. And finally, we will wrap up our session with a Q&A session where you can ask any questions you have about prompt engineering or its application. So without any further ado, let's dive in and explore the world of prompt engineering. If you have any questions, you can drop them in the chat box and we will take them up at the end. So as a beginner, you have to understand some basic terminologies. First one is AI. AI stands for artificial intelligence. So it's a field of computer science that seeks to create intelligent machines that can think and learn like humans so that they can help in writing content, solving complex problems, and much more. Second, we have NLP. So NLP stands for natural language processing. So it is a subfield of AI that focuses on teaching machine how to understand or how to process human language. So NLP is used in variety of applications, like whenever we are dealing with text translations or text summarization, that time we can these NLPs are used. Then we have GPT. GPT stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformers. So these are the large language models that was trained on massive data sets that of text and code, we can say, and they can help in generating text and translating to the languages. And last one is LLM. So we will be using this term a lot in this session. So LLM stands for large language model, and LLM are trained on massive data sets, as I have already mentioned. Okay, so yeah, we'll move to next slide. So now you guys might be wondering, like, what is prompt, right? So a prompt is a simple question or instruction that we give to the large language model to get the best output out of that, right? To get the best, like we can say, desired output from that. So we can, it's just an instruction to the large language model. For example, we could say we could give a prompt to the large language model to to translate some sentence or to summarize some big text. Like say you have some blog and you want to summarize it, so you can just give that text to it and it can summarize it for you, right? So before writing a prompt, it is very important to craft prompts that are clear, concise, and informative, right? So that LLM can understand your goal properly. So we also need to make sure that our prompts are appropriate for the task that we are asking our LLM to perform. Okay. Yeah. So this is a simple prompt example where I'm asking ChatGPT to give me 5 titles about prompt engineering. Okay. So it gives me back with the results about the title. So it gives me back with the 5 titles. So I can just take any title from that. But now the question comes, what if the results are not as expected? Right? So here comes the prompt engineering skill. So prompt engineering is simply learning how to give the best prompts to get the best output from large language models like ChatGPT, right? So we will see like how we can do that in the coming slides. So we will start by the main two types of prompting in general. We have direct prompting, we have prompting by example, right? So first we will talk about direct prompting. So direct prompting is a type of prompting in which we give language model a simple instruction on what to generate. Like whatever you want to generate, you can just give the simple instruction. So we can say just this is the simplest and the most straightforward type of prompting, and it is often used for tasks whenever like we are so like translating to something, or like whenever we are summarizing. So that time we can use the direct prompts. And second one is prompting by example. So prompting by example is a technique in which we provide LLM with a desired out, like we give the example to the LLM, and then we ask it to generate the output based on those examples, right? So we explain the LLM previous, like in the at time of giving prompt only, we are explaining it that we want our output to look like this, right? So this is a powerful technique that we can use to teach LLMs, right? We will see some examples of direct prompting and prompting as an example in the coming slides. Yeah. So this is the basic example of direct prompting. Here, I'm just asking ChatGPT to translate Python code to JavaScript. So as I'm a JavaScript developer, so let's say if I want to help, let's say I have some function in Python and I want to convert it to JavaScript. So that time I can simply use it, and I can simply say like convert this Python script to JavaScript. So it will just give me the output in the JavaScript syntax, right? Yeah, so here is the example of prompting example. So this is simple example where we are just translating some sentence from English to Spanish. And here we have in the example part, we have also mentioned like our output should look like this. Okay, so we have also given the output also. We have given the prompt, and along with that, we have also told the LLM that we want our output should look like this, right? So in the result, it will give us the same output, right? The same syntax which we have mentioned it. Uh, okay, yeah. So writing effective prompts is essential for getting the best out of large language models, right? So we need to craft our prompts properly to get the best outputs from the large language model. So there is a 4-step checklist which I have created so that we can follow to create the prompts that are clear, concise, and that are informative, so that they can provide the clear picture to the large language model, so that we can get the best result from that, right? Yeah. So to write an effective prompt for a large language model like ChatGPT, you can follow these steps, right? So first one is, first you have to assign a role to the large language model. Like once you know what kind of output you want, you can assign a role to large language model. And you can like just by simply saying like just examples. For example, you can say like, let's say you want to want LLM to write some poem for you, right? So you could just say like, ChatGPT, please take the role of poet or imagine yourself as a poet, right? So here we are telling it like, if you are a poet and now you have to give me examples by keeping in mind that you are a poet, right? Then in the second step, we have to set the context and define the task itself. So in this step, you have to explain like in proper way, or like in you have to provide information about like what you want to achieve, what exactly you want from the large language model, right? So uh, yeah. So in this step, you can, let's just say like, if I take the example of that poet only, so here I could say like, you are a poet and just write me a poem about a cat, right? So you can just, or you could you like give more examples based on your use cases. So now after that, you can, in the third step, you have to set the constraints. So constraint part comes whenever you are like talking about the outputs, right? So whenever you are simply thinking of the output, so let's say if you have some specific requirement for the output, let's say you have some word count limit, or you want to uh, you want the LLM to give the output in some style or in some format, so that time you can set the constants. So like for example, you could say like, please write a poem that is, here we are somehow giving the restrictions to the word count. So we could say like, please write a poem that is no more than 100 words long. So it will give like it will give you a poem that is below than the 100 words only, right? So in this step, you can set the constants. And then in the last step, we can, along with that constraints, we can set the expectation. So expectations, we can say, like here we can define like what kind of quality you are looking for in the output, right? If I take the example, so like we can say, because we are asking machine to generate the poem, so it might be not be that creative. So we could just simply say, we can force it by saying like, please write a poem that looks more realistic, so that now if we say this to the large language model, it will like take references from the poems that we have already, and then it will try to generate, right? So here so using these 4 steps, we can write the proper prompts to get the best output out of large language models, right? Yeah. Now we will see these steps in practical, right? So like, let's say now, first part. So let's say I'm a developer. Now I want to use these steps as a developer perspective. So I have like, first I have to assign a role, right? So I want to create some, let's say I want to get I want the help of this large chat gpt, we can say. So I want the help of ChatGPT in getting some React component, right? So I'm creating some React component. I want its help. So now I can just go to it, and I will just say like, imagine yourself as a React developer, right? So here I have already assigned the role, and now I have also told it, right? Like you have to create a simple button component, right? So this is one of the most important thing to do, like whenever we are writing a prompt. So we have to always assign a role, right? So by assigning a role, it will understand the context properly. Okay. Now in the second step, like we already told, so we have to set the context and define the task. So in the second step, I have like give more information about my task or about my goal. So here I've said like the button should look like, the button should have text like click me, and it should be in blue color, and it should have white border. So here I have given more information about my task, about my goal, right? After setting context, and once you have like assigned the role, and you have set the context, and define the task, then you can set the constraints, right? So here, let's say now I want the LLM to just generate the syntax, like the button component in functional component syntax, not in a class component. So I'm here restricting it. So I'm just forcefully saying it like, I want the result in functional component syntax only, right? So now it will generate whatever the code snippet it will generate. So it will generate that component in functional components styling, right? And in the last step, along with that setting constraint, we can also set the expectations for the output. So now, like in the same way, like it will help to understand like how to get the to get the best result. So here we can, in this in the set expectation step, we can set the tone, we can set the style or the quality. So here, like let's say in this prompt, we are just saying like, like whatever component you are creating, you have to create it concise and it should be efficient, right? Yeah. Then we will move to next slide. Okay. So advanced prompts are a way to get more out of large language models, right? So here we are just providing the more information, right? Whatever the output we want. So we are just providing the more information about the output. Okay. So here, like we are simply assigning the, like telling it, specifying our tone, like whatever the tone we want in the output, whatever the style we want in our output, whatever format we want in the output, and like let's say you want some type of content in the output, so we can define all those things here. Okay. Now we will see some example of advanced prompts also. Yeah. So this is the example which we have already mentioned before. So previously we have just given like, give me 5 title about prompt engineering. So this is very basic, right? Now let's see like how to write an advanced version of this prompt to get the best output, right? So like we have already discussed about the steps. So we are following those steps here only, right? So we have to first assign the role, right? So here we have assigned the role in the first sentence only. We have given like, you are an expert in writing interview titles. So this is called role prompting, right? So we have assigned the role, and after that, in the remaining lines, like in the second, third line, we have like given, like we have explained exactly what we are looking for from like whatever the output we are looking for. So we have explained everything in detail, and then like or and one more important thing is like we have to make sure like it is very important to make to know your goal, like what exactly you are looking for, what exactly you want before writing the prompt, right? So you have to know your goal properly before writing a prompt. Then in the last line here, we have written like if you have any questions, ask before you try to generate titles, right? So this will completely change the game. So this sentence will completely change the game. Here we are forcing LLM to like ask questions before generating a title. So here instead of LLM splitting out the responses directly, it will first ask us questions. If it has some doubt, so it will ask us question, and once we answer those questions, then only it will generate the result, right? Yeah. So now let's see another example where, yeah. So here, let's say I want to get the help of large language model in generating uh, some building some SaaS business for me. Okay, I do not have any idea about that. So I'll just give the for in the first sentence. So here we will learn two new things, right? So in the first sentence, we can say ignore all previous instructions before this one, right? So this is called prompt hack. So here we are using it to tell ChatGPT that you have to ignore any previous instructions you have, right? So because ChatGPT is a chatbot that tracks full conversation, and if you want to ignore it, you have to use this prompt, right? And the second step, which we have in this last line, must explain everything step by step. So here we are like these words are very important, and like it is called zero chain of thoughts. So here we are forcing ChatGPT to explain things step by step. So this will help the model to respond more logically for your outputs, right? We will see more examples. Yeah. So yeah, so in this prompt, so here like let's say I want to learn something new, right? So I do not have any idea about some topic and I want to learn that new topic. So instead of going to Google and searching for different websites, I can just simply go to ChatGPT, and I can like in this case, let's say I want to learn about callbacks in JavaScript, right? I do not have any idea about it. So I can just give that this prompt, and ChatGPT will try to explain me things in a very very simple and easy language, right? So here like I have, because I have mentioned like you have to explain JavaScript callback function like I'm a 5-year old. So it will try to explain those things in a very very simple way and fun way, so that a simple 5-year old can understand, right? So in this way you can learn new things very easily. Yeah. So this is a power prompt. Like this prompt we can use to write code. So here, like I have used the example of Python. So so this prompt, like you can just give this prompt before writing whatever the script you want. Before writing that script, you can just give this prompt, and after giving this prompt, you can write whatever the whatever script, whatever kind of script or use case you have. So it will generate a script for you, and like it will not only generate the script for you, but it will also try to give insights and suggestions about that, like if there are some improvements in that script, or you can also give your scripts and ask it to give the optimizations and insights about that script. So if is there any way to optimize it, or is it optimized? So it will give you feedbacks on those scripts by using this prompt, right? So you can like use it to generate, and it will also give you optimization like feedbacks for your scripts, right? Yeah. So now let's say we will talk about ChatGPT plugins. So chat plugins are simple, like they are kind of add-on features. So let's say there are some like it will somehow help. So it will we can say plugins are the tools that can add new features to these models. Like to ChatGPT, we have few plugins. So for example, there is a plugin called Video Insights, right? So it's a plugin that allows us to watch, like it will watch a YouTube video and extract information from them, right? And you can then go to ChatGPT and you can ask your questions about that YouTube video. So it will now be able to respond about the questions, about the queries you have about that YouTube video in an informative and comprehensive way, right? So now you do not have to watch the whole video to understand something. You can just give that video to ChatGPT, and you can just ask questions, or you can just ask it to summarize that YouTube video, and you can just take the pointers from it, and you can just get the better understanding, like what this video wants to say or like teach to us. So like this will completely say like save a lot of time, right? Yeah. So a few months back, like OpenAI has introduced this code interpret feature in ChatGPT. So like this means that now ChatGPT can write and run codes. Okay, and it can also like generate charts also. So for example, we can say, like, let's say you want to generate some like you want to calculate the square root of 100, right? So now it can able to like run, and it can able to like code and run that Python code itself. And also, if you have, let's say if you have a spreadsheet, right, and now you want to generate some kind of charts, right, or using whatever data you have in the spreadsheet, so you can just go to ChatGPT and you can upload that spreadsheet into it, and it will be able to generate charts for you, so that you can just visualize whatever data you have. So this feature, I guess, can be very much useful for data analyzing. So whenever we are dealing with the data analysis and all things, so that time these features can be could be very useful for those persons, right? Yeah. So now we have custom instructions also. So ChatGPT has introduced this because instead of every time like mentioning like we want our output to should look like this or that, so we are like, so here now after introducing custom instructions, ChatGPT becomes more powerful. So you can simply tell it how you want it to respond. Okay, so here like it is introduced because just to save your time from repeating yourself. So instead of explaining things every time in each prompt, we can just go to the custom instructions and we can give the kind of prompt we can say, and we can just say like what exactly we want from the outputs, right? So for example, like I'm a Mercek developer, right? I'm a JavaScript developer. So most of the time, like I'll be dealing with the JavaScript code only, right? So I can just go to the custom instruction, and there I can give like I want this kind of like I want you to always return whenever I'm talking about the code snippet or something. I want you to always return JavaScript code, right? So I can just give a custom instruction one time, and it will always keep that in mind before responding to me, right? So these are custom instructions. Then we have ChatGPT agents. So ChatGPT agents, we can say, are a new type of AI that can understand and respond to human language very well, and they can learn and improve over time and access information from various sources. And we can say they are different from traditional AI, in that they can communicate with people and in more natural and engaging way. And ChatGPT agents can be used to automate tasks like whenever we are dealing with generating content and providing some customer supports, so that time we can use these agents. So for example, let's say they are like these agents can be used to answer questions about the, let's say you have some service, you have some like product, so you can just use these agents to provide customer, like, so that these agents can answer your customers about their queries about your product or services, right? Yeah. So ChatGPT is a powerful AI language model, but there are other free alternatives that offer similar features. So because to access whatever, like I have talked about code interpreter and plugins, because these features are available only for the paid users. So we have some other alternatives so that are free, and we can use it like for the like we can use it anytime for free. So we have this Google Bard, so it is very useful. So whenever you want some latest information, right? So in ChatGPT 3.5, so that has some limited access to the information, right? So it has some database which is till 21, I guess. So it is just generating result based on that data set only. But if you want your results to generate based on the real-time data, updated data, so you can use Google Bard. So it can do real-time searches for you. And then we have Microsoft Bing AI. So this is also very useful tool, so that you can use it for free. Then we have Perplexity AI. So Perplexity AI, I guess it's useful whenever like you want to make sure like whatever the responses you are getting from the model, those are like uh, genuine or not, right? So you can just verify your, like, because it provides a source, like whenever after generating the responses, it will provide you the source of the information. So you can just go to that source and you can just verify, like, yeah, it's a genuine information, right? So it's not like that model has generated it by itself. And then we have this heypi.com also. So heypi.com is kind of, we can say, it's a conversational AI platform. So here we can simply like, here we can think of like we are having a conversation with a model. So yeah, so these are some free alternatives that you can try. Yeah, so from here Sohail will take you through the remaining slides. Over to you, Sohail. You can share screen now.
Yes, thank you, Hirdesh. Let me just share my screen quickly. Can anybody confirm if I'm audible and my screen visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, you're audible.
So let us look into how we can utilize these models that are available online, especially the OpenAI models, for processing our text. It can significantly improve our user experience, and it can speed up many of the processes involved in many different scenarios. We'll be discussing about OpenAI models. Before going into a demo, let's first discuss about some of the important parameters that will be useful in controlling how we want to get our responses, their tone, their structure, and how diverse we want them. All of this can be controlled using some of the important parameters. The very first parameter is model. Uh, we need to provide a model ID in the API request, indicating which model we want to request to. Before that, what exactly is a model? Like it can be said like it is a mathematical representation of the pattern that can be recognized in a data. It can be as simple as y equal to mx plus c, which is an equation for a straight line, or as complex as neural networks. Neural networks is one of the most popular algorithms used today for handling really complex data. There are a number of AI models available on OpenAI's platform. Mainly, typically, they are divided into two groups. One is the latest GPT models like GPT-4, GPT 3.5, etc. And there are a few older models that are called legacy models, like, for example, like Text DaVinci or Text Ada, and etc. The next important parameter is token. Uh, Tokenization is a very fundamental technique used in natural language processing, where a text is divided into a smaller chunks, typically of 2 to 4 characters. Let me show you a tokenization tool that can help us understand better. This is a tokenizer tool. Here we have I've entered a sentence, which is basically a definition of generative AI. Now we can see this sentence has been divided into smaller chunks. Now these chunks may contain all kinds of characters that can be useful in a language. It doesn't necessarily have to be a meaningful word. The main purpose is that when a AI model processes a particular text, the text is first converted into smaller chunks, which are called tokens, and each token is associated with a unique number, or we can say an ID, token ID. And the input for these models will be those token IDs. And when the model generates a response, it will also be a token ID, which will again be translated back to the actual text. The main purpose of providing a parameter in the API request is that we need to indicate what number of maximum tokens we want to involve in a request. Because like OpenAI models, per request, there is a limit to how many tokens can be exchanged in a particular request. And also the pricing, the OpenAI is going to charge their API users based on the number of tokens that are exchanged in a request. So it becomes vital how many tokens we want to include in a particular request. The next three parameters, there are temperature, TOPI, and frequency and presence penalties, are going to help us control how diverse, how creative, and how precise our responses should be. Next slide. In order to explain how it's going to impact our responses, let's take an example where the LLM model is trying to construct a sentence. Now it has generated three tokens already, where it is describing my dog, like describing how a dog is. So it has already generated a few tokens, my dog and is. It is about to generate the next token. Here it has given a few suggestions, a list of suggestions here: cute, adorable, clever, charming, etc., good, beyond, etc., and also their probability values. Here we have adorable as has the highest probability to be placed here, but we have two ways we can deal with here. Choose a token here, which would go into the blank place. One way is to choose the token that has the highest probability. In our case, it is adorable. Or we can choose it in a very random fashion. If we did choose the token with the highest probability, the issue would be that we won't be getting a diverse answers. Every time we make a query to the model, it is going to choose the token with the highest probability, and the same responses would be generated by the AI. We won't be having diverse answers each time we ask the question. So in order to make those responses diverse, the sampling or the selection of tokens is more random. In order to control that randomness, there are two parameters, important parameters, that is temperature and TOPI. What temperature does to this distribution is that it's going to make it much flatter, so that the tokens which had very low probability has some chance to be get selected. So when we have a higher temperature values, the distribution is going to be much flatter, and we can have those tokens. Those tokens will be selected which also had lower probabilities, and in turn we can have more diverse answers. Another parameter that works in a similar way is TOPI. In contrast with temperature, TOPI is going to limit the number of tokens to be selected. Like for example, if I set my TOPI value as 0.3 or 0.4, it is going to create a subset of tokens whose cumulative probability does not exceed that value, that TOPI value. So if I had set like 0.4, it is only going to consider those tokens whose cumulative probability does not exceed 0.4. In this case, it has only considered adorable, clever, and cute, and the rest of the tokens are ignored. Basically, their probability will be zero, and they don't have any chance to get selected or sampled in this position. So, in conclusion, like with the higher temperature or TOPI values, we can get more diverse answers, whereas for lower temperature and lower TOPI values, we can get very precise and deterministic answers. One of the application would be when we want to generate application code or programming code, we need we need more precise answers rather than creative answers. But we want to write a poem, write a story or something like that, we want more creative answers. So we keep the temperature and TOPI values higher in that case. The other two parameters are frequency and presence penalties, and they provide us a very fine-grained control over the responses. Basically, it penalizes the tokens based on how many times it has been repeated in a particular response. Now, for example, I have ease token. So if I introduce a penalty to this token, this particular token, the presence penalty is going to penalize it based on if it is present in the response or not, if it is already present in it. But in case of frequency penalty, it is going to penalize a particular token based on how many times it has come up in a response. So these parameters can help us control our responses. Next, move on to the demo. So we have considered a simple chat application, backend part for it. Show it's working and to show visualize the API responses, I'm considering a Swagger implementation here. Very first thing I'm going to consider is moderation here. Since it is a chat application, we would like to monitor what kind of requests our users are making, so that we can have some control, so that they don't make any inappropriate responses. So OpenAI does provide us a separate model for moderation. We can input any kind of text here, and it's going to provide us if there is anything inappropriate in that particular text. I'm going to enter some text here. The model response is going to look something like this. It has various categories which represent if the particular text represents a particular type of sentiment. It is going to be true when it does represent the text does represent that particular sentiment. Here, everything is false, as you can see. Like, it was this very appropriate text. It has nothing violent or indicating any self-harm, harassment, or anything. So everything is false. Now these are flagged based on the OpenAI's policies. In order to set our own policies, we can also consider scores. Now the model is specifying how confident it is that the text is belongs to a particular sentiment. So based on if we would set our own thresholds for this course, we can capture if a particular text is violent or hate, or represents hate or harassment, etc. So in this way, based on flags, we can control what kind of content the users are entering, and based on that, we can take appropriate actions accordingly. Next, let me just explain the logic behind how we are making the request. So before making the request, we need to prepare our prompt. Even though users are going to enter the queries, we will be preparing the prompt by considering how many tokens it involves, like how we want to structure it, and so on. Here, based on the user's queries, we will be creating the prompt. Here, these are for legacy models. For legacy models, the structure would be a single string, a single straightaway string, where we can differentiate between the role. As we already discussed, we need to specify the role, who is speaking, like what is their role of the user. So we are specifying first, we are indicating the sequence of characters to indicate that role in case of legacy models. Here, this specific characters of represents that it is a system. Here, the role represents the user, and in these sequence of characters represents your role of assistant. That is the model itself. The system instruction is going to be helpful to set the tone of the model, how you want the model to behave, how the responses are going to be toned, what are their mood, etc. We can instruct that using the system instruction role. Here I am providing a simple instruction, that a generic instruction, that you are a friendly chatbot capable of providing precise answers to human queries. And in case for GPT models, the prompt structure would be different. It involves a dictionary or an object which has the keys role and content. We specify the same content here using the role as system, role as user, or then also the content. We are also calculating the number of tokens that we are including in our prompt. As I already said, there is a limitation of how many tokens can be utilized in a particular request. So we're also calculating and making sure that they are within the limit. We're also including the history because it is a chatbot application. We will be including a history so that the model knows what is the context of what the user is speaking in a particular chat session. Let's run these APIs. I'm giving a chat session title. I'm also providing which model I want to request to. I'm providing GPT 3.5 Turbo. And also I'm asking my question. Let me ask how to make pancake. Second. Oh, sorry. The session already exists. And I've changed the name of it. Okay, let me just start the server. Sorry, I think I spelled the ID wrong. Yeah, it does take some time for the model to generate the response. So it is advised to use a streaming response in this case. I will demonstrate that also. So the model gave us this response, quite an elaborate response for formatting and everything on how to make pancakes. We have started the session right now. Let me just show you how the streaming would work. I'm not exactly saying what I'm specific to. I'm just the model is picking up the context of our conversation. Based on that, it is providing us the how many calories does it contain. I did not mention in my query that I'm referring to pancakes or anything. So that was about the chat application. One more thing we want to discuss is about fine tuning. One of the features that Open AI model platform provides us is fine tuning. For fine tuning, we have generated this data. It's going to help us retrain the models that are already present on the platform so that we can have the integrated capabilities we want. Like I want the model to know something data that is specific to my location or specific to my organization. In those cases, we can definitely like retrain the models that are already present. It is going to have all those advanced capabilities of processing text, but addition to that, it's also going to have the knowledge of the data that we provide. In this example, I'm considering some synthetic data here. So here, this is my actual prompt. Like I am considering, like, imagine a complete detailed description of some aged person of gender male or female, who is a fictional character and has a superpower of any one of them, flight, telepathy, or anything. And I want some description in a maximum of 100% great detail. Now imagine that this is the prompt I want to post to the model repeatedly. So it is quite a big prompt, and every time I make it, it is going to consume a lot number of tokens. So instead of that, I want to reduce the number of tokens and reduce the prompt size. So instead of this prompt, I want to make the prompt in this way. I only provide the age, I only provide the gender, and only the superpower. And based on that, the model is going to provide the response which it would provide for this particular prompt. So I have my training file, and using the training file, I will be creating a fine-tuning job here. Once the training is done on the platform, it's going to, in response, it's going to provide a new model ID, which can further be used to make requests. Back to the slides. That was about a simple chat application we just saw. Next, we are going to, these are some of the, important AI directories that are available online. Some of them are free, some of them are paid. You can explore a lot of these tools that are available, and latest AI technologies are posted here. Next, let's discuss about what can be the limitations of prompt engineering and the AI tools. One of the main drawback would be that accuracy. Many must have experienced this or might have encountered in social media that many a times the GPT models don't provide accurate responses. That could be a main issue, but over time, with improvement in technology, with better data, this could get improved. Next would be uh, there is some degree of complexity in using it, but with time that would also get reduced, and it can involve a lot of trial and error. As we saw, we need to try and experiment with the various values of top P temperature to find that sweet spot, such that we get accurate responses and in the way we want for our application. Sometimes we could see that could be a lack of creativity too. It might seem like inhuman, like non-human responses, very generic responses we could get from models. That were some of the limitations. So in conclusion, I would say that today we saw that how effectively we can talk with the AI models. AI models have become a big trend today. These integrating these into our applications can help us a lot in driving businesses, in providing better user experiences. So it can be a very advantageous to learn how to use these tools, how to work with these tools. Hope you have gained that knowledge today in the session. Before taking up the questions, I want to introduce you to the tool Code Grip. This is a code analysis tool. It provides us a detailed analysis of our code. Now, as you might have known, like a good code, a quality code can make a lot of difference in the efficiency of our application. Now, CodeGrid can be a go-to tool to self-analyze our code, or else your supervisors can check your code for quality, improve over its quality based on the suggestions given by the tool. I'm displaying a few job opportunities that are open here in Mindbowser. If you find yourself suitable for any of these roles, or if you know anyone who would be suitable for these roles, please do apply for them. Finally, thank you everyone for joining. Thank you for spending time here. For any questions, if you have later on, you can just email to either of the email addresses provided on the screen. Thank you all.